Okay, so today we're talking about exponential functions on the graph. So first of all, what is an exponential function? Um, these are functions that look like this. So you have some number like 2 raised to the x. So all it means is you guys really should understand by now. F of x is just the output or the y variable on this coordinate plane equals to your 2x, right? And let's see how that works, okay? So you really need to have a basic understanding of how these numbers work. So let's just make a table, and you should be doing this with me, okay? But I'm gonna work it out. So I'm gonna pick like 0, -1, -2, and then 1, 2 for x, just the basic numbers. So if I put 0 in for x here, 2 to the 0 power, anything to the 0 power is 1, right? And then when I put 1 in for x, 2 to the first power is going to be 2. If I put 2 in for x, I want to get 2 to the second power, which is 4. And if I put 3, I get 8. If I put 4, I get huge numbers like 16. Um, and then you look at the negative side. 2 to the negative first power is 1 over 2, which is, okay, so 1/2, right? And 2 to the negative second power is 1 to the 2 squared, right? Because you guys understand that negative exponent means it goes to the bottom of the fraction. It means it's getting divided instead of multiplying. So it becomes 1/4. And if you, okay, so let's just plot that out and we'll see what happens. So I have 0 and 1. That's basically where it all starts because, it's near the center of the graph. So x is 0, y is 1, or f of x is 1. And then first power is 2, second power is 4, third power is 8. So you can see that it jumps really, really quickly, right? Fourth power is going to be 16. That's already outside of my graph. So you can see like my graph goes like this. So this is what they mean by exponential growth. It goes very, very quickly. And then when I go to the negative side here, negative, I get like a 1/2. Right? -1 is 1/2. There, it goes all the way down here. And then -2 becomes 1/4. So it just divides by 2 each time. And if I put 2 to the -10, or let's just do -6 so you can see it. So 2 to the -6 equals to 1 over 2 to the 6. And 2 to the 6 is something really big, right? Like 120 something, I guess. 120. I want to, let's see, 64. 64. 1 over 64. So the bigger the bottom is, the smaller the number is, right? Because 1 divided by that is going to be something very small. So your graph looks something like that. It gets smaller and smaller and smaller. But even if you put 2 to the negative 100, it's just 1 over 2 to the 100th power, which becomes something, very, very, very small. So it gets really, really small, but it never really gets to 0. So that's what your graph looks like. And this line right here, is called the horizontal asymptote. Okay, so that is something you need to know. We call that the horizontal asymptote. Oops. This line right here, it's the line that the graph never crosses. So no matter how far to the negative side I go, it never crosses down to the negative for the y. So it just gets closer and closer to 0, but it never crosses it. So that's the horizontal asymptote. Okay. So that's the idea of the exponential graph. So let's do a couple examples here. I have example number 1. Let me just zoom in a little bit here. Hmm. All right. So here, we just talk about the translation. So you start out with y uh, equals to 2 to the second power, or 2 to the x power. And then we have these numbers here that they're added into your function. These are the translations, okay? So this number here means it moves left or right, okay? So if it's negative, it goes right. And if it's positive, it goes left. So I'm sure you guys have seen the translations before. So this is not new to you. And this number here, if it's positive, it goes up. And if it's negative, it goes down. So we're going to start with the number that they gave us here, 0, 1. And then since this is negative 4, it goes right 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And here is negative 1, so it goes down 1. So that's the point there. And then our graph goes something like that. We're just going to sketch it. Okay. There we go. Because it goes down only 1. So here it goes down only 1. It goes down only 1. Go down only 1. You know. So looks something like that. And then that's it. So our asymptote now, instead of usually it was at 0, now it's going to be at negative 1. So the asymptote is going to be at y equals negative 1. Okay. And we're going to talk about the domain and range. The domain is all the x's, and the x's can be all real numbers because it can keep going forever. You can pick any x and it'll work. But the range, because the range starts on the y and it never goes under negative 1. So the range is going to be y is larger than negative 1 because it goes down to negative 1 and it goes up. Okay. So this number here tells you the range. Okay. That number at the end there tells you the range. Let's see. This one. So they gave you the graph of y is equal to 3 to the x, and it looks similar to 2 to the x, but just a little bit taller. And here, let's look at your transformation. This one goes left, right, right? And negative means it goes right. So I go right 1. So from this point, I go right 1. And then this one goes down. So this one is right. This one is down. And so go right 1, down 2. So now it's here, and my graph looks something like that. Goes down 2, so it's going to be somewhere here. Like that. Okay. And your asymptote now, asymptote is going to be at y is equal to negative 2. And your domain is going to be all real numbers. And your range is going to be y is larger than negative 2. All right, let's do this next one here. So here, if you start out with this value as a fraction, your graph kind of flips, you know. It goes down like this. So here, the asymptote is still at 0, right? And let's see where it moves to. All right, so here, this number is negative. I go to the right 3. This number is positive, so I go up 1. So now it's here. So my graph looks something like that. Oof. Oof. There you go. Something like that. So now my asymptote is at y is equal to positive 1. Okay. And my domain is all real numbers. And my range is y is now larger than 1.